Hello, it's Ken Gadian with YouTube channel Game Bits with this week's IndieSider podcast. This week we're playing This War of Mine. This game came out for PC, Mac, and Linux from developer 11-Bit Studios last month, and it is a war simulator, but not the kind where you play as a soldier. In this game, you are just trying to survive as a civilian in a war-torn region. So this is a game about the other side of war. Not everybody is a soldier. Some people are just trying to get by in a war-torn part of the world. And as you can see, there is some language and other difficult subjects being addressed in this game. War is not fun. It is not guts and glory. You are not a soldier who is trying to save the day and hop on a helicopter at the end of the day and go back home. This is your home. What you are looking at right now is how the game begins. You are 3 survivors in a bombed-out apartment building. It is an absolute mess, and this is the best that you have, and you're lucky to have even that. So when the war broke out, you collected these 3 characters that you were going to be playing as. Katja, Pawel, and Bruno. Katja used to be a reporter, Bruno was a chef, and Pawel was a football hero. So these are not people who are trained in martial arts. They are not former military. They are very day-to-day. And this is the interface. It's a 2D perspective. And these icons all represent things I can interact with. So I can click on Katja. She has bargaining skills. I can click on that and she'll go over there. And that is a locked door. I can send her here. And this is a workbench where she can assemble various things like a bed, chair, simple heater, and radio. And it tells you what you need. You need 7 components and 2 electrical parts to build the radio. Fire. We need 4 components, 3 components to make a filter for water. So these are all very simple things that you don't have right now. You are going to be sleeping on the hardwood floor at this point in the game, this early. And that is going to make for some difficult nights. You're going to have your stamina go down. But there are no numbers representing your health. It is just, for example, Bruno here is slightly sick. And Pawel is fine, and she is fine. Now this door is not locked, so he can go through there. I hope we'll manage to keep it warm in here. We're going to need some stuff to do that. And here he is digging through the trash, and he finds, excellent, 14 components, 4 sugars, some clean water, and 8 pieces of wood. So they have just arrived in this apartment building, and they are exploring it and finding out what they can see. So I'm going to have him break down that door. Meanwhile, this guy is going to open this door, and she is going to explore that cabinet. So he got that door open down here, and now he can just open it. And now I can have him go through here and see what's in that cabinet. And he got that door open. Now here are some more components. Excellent. Or parts. She's opening that. She got all this stuff. We have some herbs, parts, sugar, and electrical parts. No reason to not grab it all at this point in the game. Your inventory is unlimited when you are in the apartment building. Later on in the game, there will be times when you can only grab a certain amount. And let's see. And there are various, whoops, grab all. For example, if I want to send him here, he can actually just jump through that hole in the floor. Now he says, lucky it's not cold in here. It's 22 degrees right now, which is about, let's see, 78 Fahrenheit? Rough estimate. But we should continue exploring the apartment building. This guy is coming up on his own. I don't know how or why he's doing that. Maybe I accidentally clicked something. So let's have him go through that pile. He's going back up. Oh, she's going back up. Let's have her open that door. And there are also these... Oops, actually, let's have her go... No, actually, let's keep her going there and have him go here. They're trying to sit down in the chair. That's what they keep going for. You also notice these big piles here. Those take a long time to dig through. If you have a shovel, which is an item you can manufacture later, then you might be able to get through it. But for now, it might take you all day. And I think there are better ways to spend our days. This is what we have so far. And what is he going to find there? more stuff. Grab all. Okay. So I think we've explored everything that is not obstructed by piles. We can also zoom in and out to get a larger view. So we can open these doors if we get lockpicks, but for now, let's send him there and him there. And we're going to see if we can build anything with all the tools that we've collected so far. There is another half to this game that you'll be seeing at the end of this day. There's a lot more to this game. So what can we build? We can build a bed, a chair, a heater, and a radio. Well, let's start off with a bed. That's going to be the most essential item of those, I think. What else do we have here? Stove, moonshine still. You wouldn't think that you'd want to be getting drunk, or you shouldn't need to get drunk, but that is a good item to barter with. And this would allow us to make other tools, such as lockpicks. That might be handy. But again, how do you prioritize? The radio will tell you when the war is over, and you never know. This game does have a finite number of days that you're trying to survive, but it's random every time. So every morning you wake up hoping that the war will be over. So where am I going to put this bed? I'm going to put it in the basement. I think it might be kind of warm down there. So now he's going to go down there and start building that bed. We can also make an improved workshop that will allow us to build even more things. I don't know if we should be prioritizing that, but let's go ahead and do that. And when that meter fills up, he will have finished building his assignment. Should I have her start digging through here just because she has nothing better to do? Is that a good use of her time? I don't know. But I can click down here and see her bio. And as the days go on, more events will occur that will add to her bio. She's sort of keeping a journal, everybody is. And we can see how they're thinking and reacting to the events of the day. Great, now he has an improved workshop. Whoops. I accidentally clicked on that thing while she was still the active party member. I do that a lot. Got to click on the person first. So now we can build all these other things that we couldn't before, like an armchair. We could even board up some walls. But let's build a radio so that we can know when and if the war is over. And let's put that, I don't know, maybe in the kitchen? Can I put it right there? No. So when the word place is dimmed out, you can't place it there. But now I can place. Now he's going to go build that. The bed down here is almost done. Now we have a bed. Whoops. Again, I hit the wrong guy. But now he has had enough sleep, so he doesn't need to get into bed. So let's send him back to the workshop and see if there are other things he can build right now, other ways he can spend his time. They'll eventually get to the point where there's a lot of things that you still need to build, but no materials with which to build them. And so you're just sitting around and there's nothing to do all day until you end up clicking end day. It's boring and depressing. Okay, so now we can build another bed, an armchair. Maybe they could fall asleep in the armchair, I don't know. Let's see, I think we need a stove, though. Now, is that something that's going to keep us warm, or is it something that's going to cook food? Actually, let's build the metal workshop. Oh, we have to place this somewhere. Well, let's put it here. I'm doubting the wisdom of building things that require more things to build them. Or to use them, rather. So here's what the radio has to say today. Nothing encouraging. And night is falling soon. And she's about 3/4 done digging through that rubble. I don't know if her hands are actually as black as they appear, or if that's just the shading effect. Oh, you can see it falling down as she digs through it. You can see that time goes by relatively quickly. 10 minutes just passed. It was now it's 7:10. There's another 10 minutes. So definitely not real world time here. Okay, so now click on her, and now she can go through that. And now we have a whole room where we can put stuff, like chairs and desks and radios. I don't think we can move things that we've already built. Ooh, what's that? A lockpick. This is our first lockpick, so now that we can open a door that we couldn't before. Like that one. But then that would require more digging. Oh, the night has fallen, so now we have to make assignments. We have three characters. Bruno is a good cook, Katya has bargaining skills, and Pavel has the ability to run very quickly. Pawel and Katya also have large backpacks, slightly larger than Bruno. Only one person can go scavenging in one of these three areas. So I'm going to have Pawel be the scavenger because he's a runner and he's got a big backpack. Bruno is slightly sick, so he's going to be the one to sleep in the bed. And I can have Katya sleep, or I can have her guard. I'm going to have her guard, and then she'll sleep during the day tomorrow. So she and Bruno will take turns in the bed. And now I have to choose where to go. And it tells you some suggestion of what I might find there, including other people. You can see the smoke is still rising here. Some food, lots of material. You notice I didn't have much food. I didn't feed any of my characters. Lots of weapons, lots of parts. A villa. It says some people still live there against all odds. They don't want to trade. We could try stealing from them. Huge amounts of weapons parts and a quiet house. It's a calm area of little houses and porches and gardens. Most of these houses are still inhabited. Let's not go there. Let's go to somewhere that's either ruined or abandoned. I'm going to go here because it seems to have a lot more stuff in it. So prepare. You do have the opportunity to bring things with you. If you find somebody you want to trade with, that might come in handy, especially if you find a locked door. You can use a lockpick. But also, everything that you bring with you is that much less stuff you can fit in your backpack. So I'm actually not going to take anything. If there's a locked door, so be it. Scavenge. It's a lot of hard decisions, and right now it's only a resource management game, but it does get more difficult, as you'll hear in my interview later in this episode. So there's my character. You can see that there's already somebody else, or there was somebody else sitting right there. I have some fog of war going on here. I can't see quite everything. But now I don't at least have to worry about clicking on him, because he's the only character I have. So everything I click on, he's going to be the one to go there. So right off the bat, grab all, exit. You can also see that I have weapons, but right now only my fists, and I can't scavenge when fighting. I can also double click somewhere to run there, but then I make a lot more noise and people will hear me. And if they have guns, it's a good way to get yourself shot. So right now I'm peeping through the keyhole and I have some idea that there's nobody in there, so it's probably okay for me to open the door. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. There we go. Alright, I'm going to go downstairs. I think I'm less likely to encounter resistance down there. And what is this thing right here? I'll take it all. Start off just by taking everything, and you can sort through it later as you make more difficult decisions about what to keep and what to leave behind. Nothing over there. Now you'll notice that time is still rushing, even at night. And eventually dawn will come, and you want to be back home by then. If you try to get out... Oh, it's a one-way door. So there's something making noise right here. He's going upstairs, whatever or whoever he is. If I try to leave during the day, I might not make it back home, or if I do, I might get damaged or hurt. Okay, right now it's okay for me to go through here. Let's quickly go through this cabinet. Not everybody you encounter is going to be wanting to hurt you. Basic items. This is private property. Do I want to take somebody's private property? That might send them after me. Well, there's stuff here that I haven't seen anywhere else. So I'm going to take that, and that. And there's also some food here, and I really need that. Okay. So getting rid of some of these components here. Notice that each item slot in my inventory will hold one kind of item. Whoops, there we go. I really don't need coffee. I'm going to take back my components there. There, exit. What is that? I don't recognize that icon. Oh, this is somewhere where I can hide. So if somebody does show up, I just duck in there, and that helps me evade detection. Let's see. Somebody's moving around. Doesn't look like they're going to come down here, though. So we can probably go into here. This looks like a kitchen. Good place to find... Oh, crap. Oh, they're scavenging too. Crap, sounds like they've heard me. They found me. Okay, I want that tuna. Oh, vegetables. Herbs, vegetables. Let's drop some of this. Now, is somebody else going to come find me? Is that what's going on here? Oh, crap. They may or may not be friendly. I don't know. How'd they even get over there? Did they drop down from the ceiling or something? No! No! No, don't fight me. Don't fight me. Run to exit. Just click that shortcut to get the heck out of there. Now see, the last time I played this game, the person I encountered while scavenging didn't want to hurt me. They just said, hey, we're here looking for the same stuff you are. Is everything okay? And I could have tried to fight him, but... First blood. Great. So now Pawel returns. I'm back, but I need help. It hurts. That was not a good encounter. You have so few resources that you want to really take care of your guys. He's hungry, wounded, sad, and tired. This is a response to him taking those private items that were marked. There will always be repercussions for taking that stuff. Well, I have another half hour of playing this game to show you, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to bring on the senior writer for this game from 11-Bit Studios, calling in from all the way in Warsaw, Poland. He's going to talk to you about what decisions went into this game and what they're hoping to achieve by showing this side of war. Joining me for today's episode of IndieSider is Pawel Miechowski, the senior writer for 11-Bit Studios and This War of Mine. Hello, sir.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be on your show, and let's begin.
Great, thank you so much for your time. I've been playing This War of Mine, and it's pretty much exactly what I expected, where it's a really engaging game that shows a side of war that very few games attempt to convey. It demonstrates that it isn't all guts and glory and soldiers running around. There are a lot of people who are affected by war that just don't get seen in the news. And so I'm wondering, what is it that prompted 11-Bit Studios to make a game like this? Because it is dramatically different from Anomaly, your previous game.
Yeah, each time we are starting a new game, we do a little of internal brainstorm to come up with different ideas. And it was actually my brother, Grzegorz. He's a CEO at 11-Bit. He just came up with the idea, guys, let's make a game about civilians in war. So we were ignited by this idea, and quickly we've made a research to find different really thrilling stories, and we were 100% sure this is really thrilling concept to make a game, and we started to make it, and it took actually 2 years to develop this game, so it evolved into what it is now. So actually everything started from the idea by my brother.
And what would you say is your goal with this game? For example, some people are calling it an empathy game. Are you trying to show people this other side of war, or are you trying to get people to relate to other experiences, or just to make a fun resource management game?
Actually, I think there are a few factors. First thing is that war is being trivialized in games. As far as I'm okay with war games like Battlefield, I'm not fine with the fact that it's been only this side of the war. And when you look at what's happening in the world, it's actually far from it. It's no fun. It's actually terrible what's happening and what people are coming through to survive. And we wanted to show that it actually may happen to anyone, and when it happens, it doesn't matter if you're American, Jewish, Polish, Russian, Czech Republic, or whatever. What it happens is what is important is that when it happens, you're gonna have your humanity put to a test, and you're gonna go through really wide range of really difficult emotions like remorse and of course, apart from the fact that you may simply die uh, through a really gray morally area, and this is what people are facing when war breaks out. And this war of mine is a tool to experience how civilians struggle when they want to survive.
Yeah, it's a very scary time that we live in where war seems to affect people throughout the world, and there doesn't seem to be any region that's safe. 11-Bit Studios is based in Warsaw, Poland. Is any of this game inspired by personal experiences that you or your team have had?
Luckily, none of us were in war, but actually, we are in touch. We met some people who survived different conflicts, and they were supporting and helping us almost from the very beginning. Like, for example, one of the first person that got in touch with us and started to cooperate was John Kaiser, an American guy who was a Navy corpsman in 3rd Marines. So he took part in Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah in Iraq in 2004. And what he saw made him a very anti-war person, someone whose personal experiences opened his eyes and drove him to be anti-war guy. So John was our first critic, our also first a person who simply tried the game and gave the feedback, what works, what we should fix, and etc. So that was John. Another guy would be Emir. Emir is a guy from France, but as a kid he lived in Bosnia, and when war broke out in Bosnia, he was 9 years old. So he saw everything as a kid. So he has a very emotional experience. Luckily, he survived because after a year, his mother took him and his brother, and they escaped from Bosnia to France, where they are living now. And Emir also was one of our, supporters and someone who was sharing experiences, so we can learn a lesson and put such things into the game. However, you need to keep in mind the game takes place in a fictional city, so as far as there are references to Sarajevo, to Bosnia, and to Kosovo, there are references to many other conflicts. So I heard from people who actually survived the siege of Sarajevo that some things in the game are not true because in Sarajevo it was different. And I completely agree. It's not a game about Sarajevo. We just were looking for different stories to make as close as reality to possible, and yet it is a game, so it needs to speak with the language of games, makes some mechanics, has some simplifications, some mechanics that make it engaging gameplay wise. We luckily don't have any personal experiences, yet we know people who had. Also, we are from Warsaw, Poland. Warsaw was heavily destroyed by Second World War. First, it suffered German invasion, then it suffered Soviet invasion. So most of us actually have grandmothers and grandfathers who survived war, and Warsaw was really terribly destroyed. And after the uprising in '44, people were living in ruins, really like rats, just fighting for food and water to survive because there was hunger and diseases in a ruined city. So we know a lot of personal stories from our grandfathers. My grandfather actually died before I was born, but I know he survived the war in Warsaw. The other Pavel, who's sitting next to me in the office, his grandfather survived a siege of Leningrad. That was actually the most horrible siege ever, including acts of cannibalism. So we know a lot of stories. Yet in the game, we have a border we don't want to cross. So there are no acts of cannibalism or explicit atrocities, because the message is not to show you how brutal it is, but to give you the tool to experience everything from your eyes, So you take the decision and carry the emotional toll behind your decision, and face the consequences of your decision. That's heavy enough to show you the grim side of the war. You don't need atrocities to tell the story, right?
Right, I know as you were developing the game, your team debated how dark you wanted it to be and what aspects of war you wanted to include, such as children or sexual assault. How did you decide how far to go and what to include and what not to include?
It was a question that naturally popped up, and the same natural way it popped up an answer. You don't need to show the brutality of war to make it really thrilling experience for a player, because it's all about the emotional aspect you kind of take on yourself, because it's you deciding if you wanna give medication to people in need or save them for yourself. You don't need atrocities for that. So in the end, it's not a game about atrocities. It's a game about how regular people suffer. So in the end, we have children in the game, but they are not playable characters. They may come to your shelter and ask for help. If you help or not, this is your decision. And same situation with hurting other people. There is a situation in the game, in the supermarket, where you see a soldier trying to hurt a woman, and how you react is also a part of the story. And I guess this is the border we approached, and yet not crossed literally.
I did encounter that scenario in the supermarket. Up until that point, the game seemed more focused on resource management, and then it threw that at me, and it was unexpected, and it left me a little rattled because that was a decision that I hope I never have to make in real life, and I don't think I made the right decision in the video game, and even that left me wondering what I could have done or what I should have done.
Yeah, because yeah, I absolutely understand you. It's because we opened the world up to the player and make all the decisions up to him. I think that completely wouldn't work if we would sell a moral thesis, or throw a moral story, pardon my French, right into your face, because we had to leave everything open up to your decision, because this is the only way you may feel good or bad about what you do and about the consequences of what you do. And this is something that naturally came along with designing the game, that the physical challenge is obvious, but surprisingly or not surprisingly, the emotional challenge is the heaviest one. So for example, there was a story that got stuck in my mind on amnestyinternational.org. It was one of the stories that we read at the beginning that inspired us to make the game. There was a story about a girl who was. It was interview with her actually. She was delivered to hospital in Sarajevo on the very first day of the siege. She was wounded. The hospital ran out of necessities like bandages and disinfection medications on the very first day. And the same day, older lady was delivered as well, and she was lying next to the young one. And there was a doctor standing above them and deciding which should be given the last part of the medication. And he decided to give it to the younger one because she has had whole life ahead of her, and she actually survived the siege. But the very same night, the older lady died. So, in my eyes, the doctor was kind of a dark hero. He saved someone, but he sacrificed someone else because he had no choice. So whatever he would do, there would be a victim, but he had to do it. So this reality often touches people in war, and that was one of the stories that pushed us to make the game.
I have a question about how that plays a role in the mechanics of the game. Sometimes somebody will come to my door and ask if they can seek refuge in my home. And if I say yes, then I'll have more people in the house, but every night I can still send only one person out to gather resources. So I'm still getting as many resources each night, but I have more mouths to feed. How come I can't send two people out at night?
Oh yeah, this is pretty simple. This is a choice we had to make at some point because you need to understand the balance of the game is extremely difficult. There are thousands of factors that decide if the game is easy or difficult. So choosing one man for scavenge made things a bit easier. I understand we could make two, but that would probably require, I don't know, 6 more months of work. And we were doing it for 2 years, and it was finally time to release it. I hope we can expand the game in the future and actually make more scavengers available for you to pick for the night mission. But just simply a question of that we decided let's make one that would make the balancing easier, and that's it. Yet I remember that when people had to do such things in war, they usually were living as one or in a group of 2 3 people, not more than that, because more was too risky. So it has some reflection in reality. Yet we had to limit that to one person to be the scavenger.
You said that you hope to expand the game in the future. What other sort of expansions do you see coming, such as new venues to explore at night or new items that you might be able to craft?
This is something what we are discussing at the team right now. So I don't wanna unveil any details yet. I don't wanna to make major spoilers or simply tell now because I'm not sure what would be the first thing. It's a lot of work. We surely want to do that, yet I don't know what would be the first steps. We're thinking about it right now. We want to expand this world of the in-game world generally. So ideally would be to make a lot of more locations, a lot of more characters, lot more events and more buildings you can start the game in.
I have a question about the art style, which is gorgeous. It reminds me of a cross between a graphic novel and the Xbox 360 game Deadlight. And in one of the 11-bit commentary or interview videos, it was mentioned that the game was also inspired by the look of music videos of the 1980s. How did you decide what was just the right look for this game? How did you decide to convey this dark experience?
Well, I can only guess or say what I know from Przemek, who is the art director, and it was completely his choice and his vision. I remember he was inspired by the video by Aha, where everything is hand drawn and also transitions to reality. So you may make a hand drawn sort of charcoal style and yet keep the real effect. So I know he was particularly inspired by this, and also the tonality, the green palette of colors. It matches the tonality of the game itself, so it had to be done that way. And yet, this reminds also a little bit of older photography, which somehow lives in our imagination as a picture of reality, yet being a bit distant. So that was his choice. But
Another question. You mentioned this game is not meant to represent a specific city or a specific war. Is it supposed to invoke any certain era? Since we mentioned music videos of the 80s, I wonder, is this a war that could happen 30 years ago, or is this today?
well, I think this is more or less just a modern time. Probably you can imagine that could be 10, 20, or 30 years ago. I think nowadays it's the same like it's been 30 years ago, except the fact that you have maybe mobile phones and relations from war in the internet. The suffering of civilians is completely the same. So it also matters that it's a fictional city with a fictional conflict in the background for few reasons. We've made our research and the pattern is often the same, but we didn't want it to put a concrete city or specific city because we want to stay away from any political connotations. It's not about blue fighting the red or red fighting the white. It's about people, and it doesn't matter what nationality are they or what is the religion. It's about humans. So we definitely wanted to stay away from any real political connotations. Sometimes imagination tell people too much, especially in the internet.
I can imagine. Now, I've been looking forward to this War of Mine because I think it's the kind of game that we need to be making and the kind of game that showcases what this medium is capable of for storytelling and narrative. And I'm hoping that other people see it that way, but have you ever been concerned about this game being perceived as exploitative, of you making a game out of other people's suffering?
Actually, no, it's quite opposite. We are showing the suffering, we are raising empathy. In this world of mine, you can experience what is the real suffering and you can empathize, you can feel remorse, you can feel sadness. It's actually this world of mine that shows reality, and I would rather say all the wars trivializing, all the games trivializing war are making money on suffering because they raise adrenaline in you, and you after playing so many games, not all the people of course, but some lose the connection between reality and war, and they always say war is fun because they see war is fun in games. This is bullshit. War is terrible. So it's actually quite opposite. And besides, we are raising money for War Child via the game. So we're helping, somehow trying to help kids in terrible situation. That's, I think, quite opposite to companies making games and paying money to weapon manufacturers so they can use real models of weapons. So keep that in mind, please.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So, what is it that you would say that you hope people walk away from this game with? You know, they've played the game for a few hours, they've closed the laptop, and they're thinking about the experience. How do you want this experience to change them?
Well, this is very personal approach and subjective. People have really different approach, but definitely, like I said, if this is a tool to experience suffering of civilians, I see gamers easily empathizing with people, and that raises, I think, good emotions in them because people realize how bad it is in the world. So in the end, if we can make someone take a look at headlines in newspaper and see them from different perspective, and see there's more behind it, I believe this is great.
That is a very admirable goal, and I hope that the game is successful in achieving that. I really thank you for your time in discussing this game. There's so much to it. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we wrap up?
Yeah, sure. I think it's like I mentioned. It's a serious game, but if you start, if you look at games as a evolving form of pop culture, you'll see that it's like with movies. It took 20 years for movies to evolve from totally plain entertainment into a form capable of telling love and hate stories, more serious stories, or stories about war as well, showing the victims of war. For example, Platoon, uh, or The Pianist, or Saving Private Ryan, the drama stories that cover suffering really well. And although, of course, Saving Private Ryan is about soldiers, not civilians, but I think you get my point. And now games are going through this maturization, and while this world of mine is a game that raises emotions in a, I believe, I'm not a judge, but I believe in a good way, there are certain other games, and we've been heavily inspired by Papers, Please, which is a brilliant masterpiece, and it works really well on this level as well. You have engaging gameplay, and behind it you have the protagonist who needs to take care of his family, and if you do something wrong, the family is gonna suffer. So that was a game that worked brilliantly on this empathy level, and kudos to Lucas Pope for creating this.
Yeah, it's been such a fascinating time to be a gamer with so many games that are dealing with real life issues like Papers, Please and This War of Mine, and also just survival games like Don't Starve, Rust, and Gods Will Be Watching. It's an opportunity for us to make some really difficult decisions and experience those consequences in games, which is sort of a safe space to be making those decisions and having those experiences, and hopefully make us better people when we log off the game.
Yeah, if you look at games as an entirety, it's like you certainly may demand more than just plain entertainment, because games are with us for 30 years, like in most of the cases, and they've been evolving with us. We see games as a natural way of storytelling, and I think it's totally fine to demand more and more from games. And actually, I expect more and more games really dealing well via excellent gameplay with serious topics. Let it be tolerance or acceptation of different people in the world, or war, like we are doing, because games are interactive and can tell stories in a deeper way than movies or books. And it's not like I'm blaming actually movies or books, because obviously there are masterpieces in both of those forms. I just mean that you can actually demand a lot from games, because nowadays the storytelling in games evolved into a level where they are capable of actually really covering really many different topics, including serious ones.
And at the same time, there's still the opportunity for the games that we have been playing to coexist with this evolving medium. There are times when you do want to play a game and just be entertained and not think quite so hard about it, but that doesn't mean that games should be limited to just that.
Yeah, absolutely. Escapism is what I love in games, because, for example, Football Manager is a game I totally like. While it's whatever is happening in Football Manager, it doesn't completely have relation to reality. And same situation with, for example, Battlefield, which is a pretty cool action game. It's just a question we may ask not only for entertainment, but more than that. But that doesn't mean that we should ban comedy movies because drama movies are the only okay. Of course, it's like I prefer comedy movies, but there is something in the human nature that from time to time you demand from yourself something that, I don't know, the thing that pushes you to go to the cinema and watch The Pianist. It's the human nature that there's something that wants us to empathize with others, and I believe it will be the case in the future with games. I got the impression that I myself may be blaming the pure fantasy games, and not at all. It's not the point, because, like I said, I really like playing Battlefield, and it's an amazing game. It's just like, let's not limit to this. Let's look wider than that. So let's make. My point was, in the future, let's make great Battlefield games, and let's make great This War of Mine games.
Well, I really appreciate 11-bit asking themselves what more can they do with gaming and pushing themselves to tell these stories. So thank you so much for This War of Mine. It's a wonderful game.
Thank you very much, Ken.